This is Matthew Kratter's Bitcoin University. Today I want to answer the question, is Bitcoin a giant PsyOp? This was a question that was inspired by Bakul, who asked me, how do you know you're not the victim of a massive psychological operation that is Bitcoin? Psychological operations, or PsyOps, of course, are part of modern psychological warfare, which is one of the main forms of warfare that countries use to brainwash and propagandize their own citizens as well as the citizens of other countries. So who's running the supposed PsyOp against Bitcoin anyway? Well, it appears to be people like Elizabeth Warren, Christine Lagarde, Warren Buffett, Paul Krugman, Bill Gates, Jamie Dimon. These people are literally the elites and the establishment, and yet all of them have been violently anti-Bitcoin for years now, and very publicly as well. So how exactly is this supposed to work as a PsyOp? You get lots of powerful fiat people to badmouth Bitcoin. Isn't that what you would already expect fiat people to do when they see their fiat wealth and fiat sinecures threatened? For example, when Warren big bank bailout Buffett says that Bitcoin is rat poison squared, everybody at this point already knows what he really means, that Bitcoin is rat poison for his beloved banks. Or maybe the PsyOp against the masses works like this, the PsyOp against Bitcoin. Let's really stick it to the commoners. Let's give them censorship-resistant money that they can send to anyone in the world without our permission. And then let's give them a powerful bearer asset that they can self-custody and thus hold gigantic amounts of money outside of the banking system. And in the process, let's help to defund the U.S. federal government by putting an end to the Fed's ability to print money. That'll really show those commoners. We can see how absurd this is. This is not how you would run a psychological operation against the people and against Bitcoin by giving them such a powerful tool. Now, what's actually a PsyOp is, of course, fiat money. This is it. You have to work for US dollars. You have to sit in traffic, sit in a cubicle, be away from your family all day, destroy your health trying to keep up with inflation, while we get to print up US dollars for free and spend them to fund unproductive bureaucrats and politicians. By the way, if you want to escape from this modern form of slavery, you're a bad person, you're a right-wing extremist, you're a drug dealer, you're a money launderer, you're a terrorist, you're a destroyer of the environment. By the way, the U.S. economy is strong and our debt is not a problem because we owe it to ourselves, so don't listen to the fearmongers. You need to trust the science and experts, you distrustful bigot. For example, listen to the human weasel, Yuval Harari. Bitcoin is based on distrust of human institutions. It's basically a return to gold. It assumes that we shouldn't trust human institutions like central banks and governments and shouldn't allow them to create money at will. It is an alarming development. That's what a human weasel looks like. Fortunately, we can all just relax because our very best and brightest are in charge of the fiat system and are oh so competent. This is why we should trust the system, as Yuval Harari says. We've played this before, but I think it's worth playing again. Jared Bernstein, who sits on the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors for Biden, talking about money printing.
The U.S. government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money.
It obviously begs the question, why exactly are we borrowing in a currency that we print ourselves? I'm waiting for someone to stand up and say, why do we borrow our own currency in the first place?
Like you said, they print the dollar, so why does the government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff gets, some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do? They sell bonds. Yeah, they sell bonds, right? Because they sell bonds and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. Yeah. So a lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing, but there is no question that the government prints money and then it uses that money to I guess I can't really talk. I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, because it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time, and it clearly borrows. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this debt and deficit conversation. So I don't think there's anything confusing there.
And this is the guy who's literally the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors to the current administration, the main agency advising Biden on economic policy, as the tweet says here. I'll also link to another video from the ECB, this time Peter Prayat, So you can watch that. I don't want to play it here, but it's very similar to show that this incompetence spans both sides of the Atlantic, of course. So it's really fiat, not Bitcoin. That's the real PsyOp. And if you don't own any Bitcoin, but you keep your savings in US dollars instead because you're scared that Bitcoin is secretly controlled by the CIA or the NSA or BlackRock or Tether or any of these groups, you're really a complete fool. And you're the one who's the victim of a PsyOp, in fact, the biggest PsyOp in human history, this crazy idea that we should give a small group of insiders the power to print money, and that this absurd, unfair, unjust financial system is somehow good for humanity, because it's definitely not. Fiat money is the money of child trafficking demons and soulless banksters and sociopathic politicians. Fiat money is the PsyOp. Fiat money is lies and wars and darkness. Fiat money is economic slavery. Fiat money is death. And by contrast, Bitcoin is life. Bitcoin is hope. Bitcoin is money for a better world. It's money for the people. Bitcoin is freedom money, and it's really fiat. That's the real PsyOp. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video, and let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.